Alright, I'm here with a video. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on this topic, but it is something I've been doing it for a very long time, is selling games on eBay. That's a big part of the channel. It really helps the collection. If you guys aren't aware of the channel or what I do on here, I do go to garage sales, I do go to flea markets, I do go to pawn shops, thrift stores, and find games. A lot of the times, I go buy a lot of Wii games or something. I keep the ones I want to keep. I sell a system, I sell the games I already have or don't want, and I, get to keep the game I want for free, and I am able to, go and make some money back, at least make my money back. Usually make some money on top of that as well. And it's really great. It's really, that's what funds the collection. I don't buy games with, anything but game money essentially. So I want to see if I can help anyone else maybe get into doing that and start funding their collection in that way. I know it's very helpful. And I know a lot of people are kind of intimidated by selling online, where to start, what to use. So hopefully I will be able to kind of come in here and answer some questions. Now, I'm not going to be an expert, and I'm not going to be talking about Amazon FBA. I do not sell on Amazon. I sell solely on eBay. Don't sell on Facebook either. Solely on eBay. If you want a good channel that goes way more into in-depth selling, I recommend Chase After the Right Price. He is full-time game and other stuff selling. This is solely just for beginners. I don't even have an eBay store, so I'm not like, big time or any way. So I figured this would be good for beginners, kind of the rates that you get there and all that, and just where to start. Once again, if anyone has any suggestions or any ways that I could perhaps improve, let me know down in the comments below. Constructive criticism and, tips are always welcome. So I just want to say, first, starting off with like envelopes here. These envelopes I'm very happy with. These are the Duck brand, and I will be putting links to everything down in the description box. Those will be affiliate links, so they will help out the channel. But I get these on Amazon. It is about $12 for a 25 pack. I usually get 50 at a time. These have worked very well. I've been using these envelopes for years now. I've sent out, several hundred things, and I've never once got a reply back saying that something got damaged. So I've never had any kind of notice that anything got damaged in one of these. They are bubble mailers, so they are padded inside, as you can see in here. On the inside, they are padded in there. I don't know if it's going to turn out, but there is like a bubble wrap. It is a bubble mailer. So for stuff like, a regular DVD-sized game, here's a Wii game here, I would put this kind of game into one of these. It fits pretty well. You don't want it to be too tight or anything. Yeah, so I put it in one of these. This is what I would use for any DVD size stuff, as well as like PS3, PS4, those larger sized cases. So, but for smaller size, I use the same brand of that Duck brand, but where those are 8.5 by 11, the ones I just showed, these are a 6 by 9. So a bit smaller. Once again, not same brand. I've not had anyone ever say that anything got damaged in this. So, for instance, a DS game or something, Dreamcast, PS1, that kind of CD sized case would go in here quite nicely and fits quite nicely in there without being damaged. And you can, put PS3 games in that size, I think, in here, but I don't recommend them being too snug just in case. So that, I also use these for cartridge games. So, N64, here's a Super Nintendo cartridge. N64, NES, loose Genesis, stuff like that. Fits right in there very nicely. And it's all good. So I do recommend these bubble mailers. I think they are very, very good. Never had any problems with them, and I've sent out, several hundred packages with using them. Then as for tape, I use Scotch shipping packing tape for, taping the label on, for taping really anything, taping up boxes to ship. I use that. What I do then, I put the game inside the envelope. I'm not going to waste an envelope here, but, you take this adhesive off. I also, just as a precautionary measure, just in case the adhesive isn't that good, I also tape, this, seal that shut. And then I just tape the label on the front here. This is good. Once again, this tape, I've never had any problems with this tape, getting loose or anything. You don't want to cheap out on tape. You want to get good tape. I believe I get these in a 6-pack, and I think it's around $12, and it lasts me. I get that 6-pack. It lasts me a while. So I already have 2 of them out, but I get them in one of these, and it works very, very well. And you don't want to cheap out on stuff. I know it seems tempting, but as soon as you have someone say, "Hey, this got damaged," and it just is a nightmare for you, not worth it. Other than that, though, for bubble wrap, I use this when I ship out consoles, when I ship out other things like that. Once again, I use Scotch brand. It doesn't come in this big box anymore. I kept the big box just to make it easier. But I use the Scotch cushion wrap. And this has always been good. You get yourself a big roll of this for, I think, like $10 or $11. It'll last you probably for a good while, as long as you're not using it too much. But so when I sell stuff like a console or anything else, I do sell things that aren't game related if I come across them. I've sold DVD box sets, and I'll wrap those in there and put them in a box. You want to make sure your stuff is nice and tight. So what I recommend to make sure everything's tight is, of course, wrapping everything very nicely. When I sell, say, a Wii system or a console in general, I'll wrap the system with bubble wrap, tape that all up. I'll wrap all the cords, the controllers, anything like that. I'll make sure everything's wrapped up completely just to be safe. But you also don't want any extra space for things to shift around. So one thing I recommend, and this is, one big part of this is recycling. I do a lot of recycling with things I get personally. So I order packages. I just got a package of some Amiibos from GameStop, and it came with a bunch of these, like pillow type things. And I just use these for filler space. You don't want things shifting around, because the more they shift around, the more likely something's going to come loose or break. So I use these as like a recycling. They're very helpful. I keep all these when I get them, and they're great. So I recommend doing that as well as the duct tape, or duct taping bubble wrapped everything. I recommend that as well. Something else I recommend is a must. This is an absolute must. And it doesn't matter which one you get. I don't know if they even make this one anymore, because I've had this for so long now. But you got to get yourself a postage scale. You just have to. You can't eyeball it. You can't use, a regular bathroom scale or something. You gotta get yourself a scale. You don't want to get yourself shipping something with the wrong weight, because it's just not going to end well. You're going to get it sent back. You're going to get an unhappy customer. You're going to end up having to spend more money than you intended to. So, don't mess around with that. Just get yourself a scale. Once again, not too expensive, and you'll use it forever. I've used this thing now since I started selling stuff on eBay in 2013. And I still use it every day almost. So it's another recommendation. And this next recommendation, this might be a little controversial. I've seen a lot of sellers online say not to use these, but I say use them in certain instances, and I'm going to go into that here. Priority mailboxes. Now, some people say don't use these. If you're using a smaller account and you don't have better shipping rates that maybe an eBay store would have or other things, I say 100% use priority mail in certain occasions. In certain situations, use priority mail. So my example is if you're selling like a PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360, specifically the slim models. Those are not light consoles. Those are heavy consoles. So one of the things that shipping is, measured by how much it costs is how far it's going. So I live in Ohio. If something's going to California, that's going to cost a good amount. And I put everything, we'll talk about this a little bit more later when I get into listing. I put everything up for shipping, because it just makes people more willing to buy your stuff. So when you pay shipping, you want to get the cheapest shipping price possible. So you can put your stuff in a box, and just a normal box, or you can use one of the United States Postal Service's priority mail boxes. This is the priority mail medium box, and I know with my rate, it's about $12 to use this to ship. If you're just starting out, it might be around $14. But that's much better than it being like $30 to ship a PlayStation 3. And you can pretty much perfectly fit PlayStation 3 slim controller and all the cords in here very, very nicely. If you, packages everything up well with bubble wrap, you can fit that stuff in there really nicely, and it'll save you a ton of money. So I recommend that. And another box I recommend, you can pick these up at the post office, the United States Post Office in your area. They have them on a little shelf. They're free to take. You can take as many as you want. You're not supposed to use them for anything else but shipping, and you got to use the priority mail specific shipping rate. So you have to select that on eBay when you're going to sell, or wherever you're getting your labels from. You got to select the right medium flat bright box rate. But another flat rate box, these are really the only two flat rate boxes I use. Another one I recommend is regional boxes. So regional boxes depend on how far away it is, but the farthest places to me that in the United States that I can ship to and that are going to be the most expensive for me are places like California, Washington, Oregon, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, Alaska, places like that. So it depends on where you are. It goes by different regions. If I'm in Ohio, obviously a place like Indiana or within Ohio or Michigan is going to be a lot cheaper. So it goes off this, but these rates are still pretty cheap. And this box right here, the regional flat rate box A, is really very helpful. This is great. It's small, but I send my Wii systems that I sell in these. You can fit Wii, remote and nunchuck, the system, the big power brick, the sensor bar, and the video cable all into this little box here. And the lowest this is going to cost you is probably around $8 to ship. And the most I think I've ever seen it is maybe around $12. Just if it goes somewhere very, very far. But this is a very helpful box as well. You cannot pick this one up at your local post office. This one is specifically, you have to go on the United States Postal Service website. You can order them for free and they'll come in with your mail. Just delivered in with your mail for free. And I think they come in like sets of 25. And these are a really great box. A lot of the other postal, I don't use a lot of the other, post office, regional boxes. There's a regional box B that's a little bit bigger. I don't use that one as much. I found that one's not as worthwhile. But when it comes to flat rate boxes, the only ones I really can recommend are the regional A and the medium box, the side loading one. There's two different medium boxes. There's a side loading one and a top loading one. The side loading one is very helpful. The top loading one is not as helpful. But that's what I recommend. I know some people swear, left and right not to use priority mail boxes. I found that there's definitely an advantage to using them. So that's just, my experience. If you have any different experience or any way to get it cheaper, let me know in the comments below. But weight does not matter as long as these are not more than a certain amount, which you're not going to hit with a game console. So something massively important is good pictures on your listing. When we go into listing tips here. So this would be how I would lay out like a typical Wii game. Just give an idea of what you have here. So if I were to be selling this copy of No More Heroes 2, I would be selling it, going about advertising the case, the manual, and the disc so that it is complete. Something I would, of course, then do if there's any imperfections in the condition, I would make sure to let that person know. So if you see here, if you don't want to change out the case, just take a quick picture of that. Just let the person know that, yeah, there is this little tear in the plastic here. That is something people like to know about, and this is going to save yourself from getting returned. So a good way of just laying everything out here, let people know what you have in there and how things are going to look. Another example here is how I would lay out a DS game. And then I would probably go ahead and take a picture close-up of the cartridge just to show that the label looks okay. But once again, you want to display, game, either disc or cartridge. If you have the manual, you want to show that. That means a lot to people and that can add, value to your listing. Now, excuse the glare on the glass here. If I were to be selling this disc only, or cartridge only, I'd be probably taking a picture like this. Just kind of showing, I would send it in a generic DS case with no artwork. I have plenty blank DS cases from over the years. I would send it in something like this, and you have to make sure that you let the person know it's cartridge only. You're not getting the disc, you're not getting the manual. You're not going to get as much for a cartridge only listing, but they still do sell. They still are popular, but you got to make sure the person knows that. For something like a loose retro cartridge game, I will take a picture of the front of the cartridge, and then I will also take a picture of the back, because that does matter to people, especially in a cartridge that's a color like green, where there's not as many games that you can get a good back from. People do not want this back label to be destroyed. People do want to be able to see that. And with retro cartridge games with an end label, I always make sure to take a good picture of the end label here, as well as I would take a zoom in shot of that little mark there. But I would take a shot like this of something with an end label on, like, NES game, Super Nintendo game, Genesis game like you have here. End label, of course, is important to a lot of people. You just want to make sure that comes across, that's how it's going to look on your shelf or wherever. A complete in box copy is probably going to be where a ton of pictures. That's going to be where you probably use the most pictures. The rest of these you probably only use one picture, maybe less than 3. But this is probably going to be where you use most of your pictures, because you're going to want to take a picture of the cartridge, both front and back of the cartridge, as well as people want to see angles of every angle of the box. So you would want to show front of the box, and then any marks or anything, bottom, side, top, and then you'd probably want to zoom in on something like this where there's wear, and the other side, and the back. Some people may actually want to see the tabs here too. That might be part of it. So N64 games, opening them does create a little bit of marking on the side. People do want to see that too sometimes. So just something to keep in mind when taking your pictures. You want them to be detailed as possible. You don't want to mess around, because that could lead to someone wanting a return. Returns are like the last thing you want to do, because what usually happens is you have to get it shipped back to yourself. So not only did you waste money on the shipping to that person, that cost has been eaten, but you're going to have to pay to get it shipped back to yourself. And, that could waste, a good amount of money. So just make sure your pictures are detailed. With consoles, when you take pictures of consoles, controller, like I said, pretty much the same thing as even in a box game. You take a picture of a console, controller, take a picture of the wires, every angle of the system, and any kind of scuffs or scratches that might be on it. Pictures are very important in getting your stuff sold quickly. Good pictures are kind of a deal breaker. No one wants to buy something with the default, eBay picture. Everyone wants pictures and wants to see what they're getting into on eBay. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. All right, now I'm going to walk through how I would make a sample listing of one of the most common games you'll probably sell if you're doing garage sailing or anything, Mario Kart Wii. This is a game that still holds value and still, sells pretty well on eBay. So I do everything on my phone. Everything I list is on my, phone. So I feel like that's the easiest way. You can take pictures, you can take your listing pictures, and then you can just use the eBay app, which I think is pretty good to list it. So we're in the selling center here on eBay. We go up to list an item. It's a little awkward for me. Sorry about that. So what I actually do is I hit the barcode scanner and I just scan the game right in there. Very easy. And then if that'll focus here. So we got here several different ones. Mario Kart, I would say this one is the most likely. This is my own personal condition. I'm not actually selling it. This is just for a demonstration. But since this is complete, in very, very good condition, I would say very good. I don't use like new because a lot of people use it and it comes up like that it's new and it just is going to cause problems. So when you list something as like new, it actually, when you search things, it comes up as the condition is new other. And I just don't want to mislead people. Very good is good. I would go in. So for something, I should probably explain conditions a little bit better. For something that doesn't have the manual or the disc was kind of scratched, but it still worked, I will put the condition as good. And then, for something like a cartridge game where the label's all torn up, that's when I will use the condition acceptable. So those are the ones. Obviously, if something is new, I will put, brand new. But
Usually I just am sticking to very good if everything's there, everything's looking good. So what we'll do here then, I always go in and kind of try to add some words. So the autofill, I use the autofill a lot of the time. I find that helpful, but sometimes it does not put Nintendo. So I'm going to have Nintendo there. And the game is actually called Mario Kart Wii. So the autofill stuff is often wrong. So we'll have to go in here and make sure. You want to make sure, especially the region code is, if you're selling an NTSC region code game, you're going to make sure that's the right region code. But other than that, I mean, you can come in and fill these in. That sometimes helps. I mean, look, frequently selected for Mario Kart Wii series is Splatoon, Sonic the Hedgehog, Legend of Zelda. So, I mean, these are not very helpful. I mean, this is all the series that they have listed for you. These are not all the video game series out there. I find these not very helpful. eBay does like you to have them, but usually they're not too helpful and it doesn't really matter. So we're going to go ahead and add pictures. No one wants to buy your thing with the stock photo. So I went in and I just selected the one photo that I put up here, as you can see, from my camera roll. I kind of cut there so you didn't have to see what was in my camera roll and me scrolling through it. So I went in and added this picture to the camera roll. This picture is not usually how I take it because the glare is kind of annoying. I don't usually take my pictures like this. I just wanted it. Just it's the easiest way to make a video for that, so ignore that, please. But once you got the picture in there, a lot of people just come in here and leave the description as blank. I don't find that very helpful. So I'm going to type out a description real quick, and then I'm going to show you kind of what I usually put in as my description. So a good sample description that I have here, just you want to keep it, for something like this, you don't need to have anything too long. Maybe for something like a console, you'd want to have more. But for a game, I just would put, something like includes case and artwork, game disc and manual. Obviously, if it's missing manual or something, or you wouldn't want to do that. For example, I always put something like, if I'm selling something disc only, I put comes disc only, no case and manual, and all, in all capitals to make sure that point's across. But everything's in good condition. Here I would maybe, if there is a scuff or a scratch or a tear or something, you might note that. And then kind of just finish it off with something simple like, a game has been tested and it works. Kind of the listing that I would put. You can, here's shipping stuff here. I always go in here and I hit free shipping. What happens here, I mean, you've seen the memes where, something's $25 plus $5 shipping and you're like, I don't know about that. But you see $30 plus free shipping. And then you go, okay, yeah, I'll buy that. It's a good deal. Just put free shipping, especially for something like this. The most that this is going to cost, probably, these are not the correct, it's not correct up here of what that would cost. With eBay's discounts, something like this, Wii games are kind of heavy, so something like this would probably cost about, $380 or something. Shipping costs are going up, but just do, that free shipping. It'll help you in the long run. It makes your thing sell way quicker. Just be careful on free shipping when you are going to get stuff, like heavier stuff that you're not using that. Then you would want to do calculated shipping. Maybe if I do another video that's more in depth, we can get into that. But right now I just wanted to keep it kind of simple. So I don't do auctions, are a waste of time. Don't do an auction unless it's something you genuinely don't know the value of. But something like Mario Kart Wii goes for about $30. So I would not do an auction. Auctions are good for maybe something like a lot of games that you don't know the value of. But I don't recommend auctions. I recommend buy it nows. So you can actually, very helpful here, you can see how other sellers priced and kind of get a good idea here. So there's one for 30, one for 35, just a few quick little thing here. 2 steering wheels for 40. That's not obviously what we're doing here. But complete CIB with manual, authentic. I don't usually use authentic in the title unless it's a cartridge game because there's so much fake stuff on eBay. You kind of got to reassure people. But yeah, we're going to price this, say we'll price this at $29.99 then. Since it goes, comparable ones are about at $30. You would list your item. Here's what it would show up like. Just want to make sure it doesn't show any of my personal information there. But here's about what it would show up like here. A quick look at what it would be like. And yeah, just some beginner tips for selling your first items on eBay, getting kind of into it.
You do have to pay some money, put down some money to start out, getting some envelopes, getting some tape, getting bubble wrap, um, anything like that, getting that postage scale. But it's definitely a worthwhile investment, especially if you're going out there. If you have games you want to sell, you don't want to, get the money just for trade-in credit or whatever. Just make sure everything's working, everything's good. Don't, you want to be careful. You don't want to take returns, or you don't want to have to take a return. And like I said, once again, I want to just say I am not, the expert. This is not my full-time job. So you might want to check out a channel like Chase After the Right Price. He does Amazon. He does a lot. eBay on a much larger scale. He might have some more tips, or, a bunch of other guys, or, that's just a channel I know of. But there's a lot of other people like that. I just figured I wanted to make a short little video, kind of some beginner ideas, and also just personal recommendations as well, since I've been doing it so long. So if you have any suggestions or any questions, leave them in the comments below. I will respond to any, questions. I didn't hit everything about selling, just kind of some basics. Maybe I'll do a sequel video at some point about this if there's enough demand. But other than that, leave a like if you enjoyed. Check out the stuff. I'll put the links. Once again, they are affiliate links. They do help out the channel, but you get this stuff wherever you want to. It doesn't really matter to me. Subscribe if you're already subscribed. Follow me on Twitter at ObjoGaming. We'll see you next time.